Bruce is a family friend of mine and was willing to talk about his research and understanding of suicide in Utah. He is 81 years old and has lived in various places because of his involvement in the Air Force. Following is his background in his own words.
My name is Bruce Giffin. I have a background in psychology, 3 degrees, bachelor's, Master of Science in counseling psychology. First degree is a Bachelor of Arts in just general psychology. And then when I was working on my master's degree in Anchorage, Alaska, I was working in a therapeutic program at Alaska Psychiatric Institute, which is the Alaska Psychiatric Hospital there in Anchorage, Alaska. And worked on a ward there, doing therapy with people that had drug and alcohol related problems. And then after being at API, I had a position as an independent therapist and did similar things. We got referrals from the state on basically DUI kinds of stuff, people that had been found drinking while they were driving. And so we got those kind of referrals. And so I did that for a short time before I left Anchorage.
I asked Bruce various questions about his understanding and feelings about suicide and how that has affected him in his life. The first question being, why do you think suicide rates are rising?
We know they are. I know Harriman School, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, they had 6 kids that killed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about that particular school and that what is creating that at that particular place. I know that there's been some difficulties by kind of mixing church and school together, and it has created some problems with kids that didn't identify with the church-related stuff. And they were sort of felt ostracized and set aside because they weren't church members and they couldn't go to the seminary with the members, and it did cause some stress with those kids, and obviously that's a problem. How to avoid that, I don't know, other than not having seminaries close to the schools, and I don't know. Anytime you have differences in religion versus non-religion, I think you can have some problems. I know that sometimes suicide in the hospital can be a real problem. It's kind of a different area. Why it's going on in Harriman and why that happened, I'm not sure exactly on that one specific. But suicide is generally somebody has kind of decided that they, in their own mind, that they were unable to deal with life because there were things missing. Social support is a big area. If you don't have a lot of friends, you don't have a lot of family people, and you get sort of isolated, that's a problem. And of course, I've been that way for all my life, 81 years. Never married, no kids, pretty much, single throughout. Anything I did was pretty much all alone. And yes, I have felt not ostracized, but just felt isolated maybe. You do that for a while until you figure out, hey, maybe there's something else you should be thinking about in your life, something else you should be doing, things that keep you interested and busy, and things that you think can help other people. And so that's kind of where I am right now with that.
What can we do as a community to help decrease the rates?
There's a thing they call prevention, and I think a lot of it means well. I'm not sure you can prevent anybody if somebody is interested in taking their life. There's not a lot you can do about it. If you know about it, then maybe you can be helpful, but I think most of the time people killing themselves certainly aren't going to call somebody on the phone and say, I'm going to kill myself. That may happen at different times, but I think that in terms of thinking just because you've got a hotline that all of a sudden that's going to solve the problem of suicide is not going to do it. I think it's a deeper thing than that. It's a family-related thing. It's a social support-related thing. It's a difficult area. There's no doubt about it. And why it increases, that's troubling. And we need to get to the bottom line. And we may never actually get to the bottom line of that. It may be something that we don't want to face up to for some reason, because changing what it takes to do to change that might cause problems somewhere else. And, I have to say, I would like to know the real suicide rates of various areas. I want to know really what they are and not what somebody's just going to tell me. Because I think getting real information in that might be a problem. It's always hard for people to face up to the things they do and the things they believe in. They would not want to admit maybe that it was contributing to a problem in their family, a problem with suicide, just problems in general. So, that's kind of my thoughts about it.
Has suicide affected you personally in any way?
I understand that it's there, and it's always a thing that could be lurking around. If it was like a weak time in your life or something was really eating on you, it could be a problem. But there's attempted suicides and then there's actual suicides. And it probably isn't a one of us that has never thought of, I'm not really too happy today, and that maybe for some people suicide might be an answer, but that's certainly not an answer for me. And you go on to do something else, and you literally kind of work your way through some other point in your life, and you get on with your life, and it doesn't occur. I doubt that there's anybody alive that hasn't at least thought that could be an answer to something. But, giving kids those kind of outs so that they understand that, I think that would be important. Let them know that there are always plenty of outs. There are always plenty of things you like to do. There's plenty of people you like. There's plenty of other possibilities. And suicide is pretty final. If you actually do it, complete it, It's the end. It's the last. You need to go and take a break and do something else for a while and get into other things you like until your mind moves to other things.
What strategies have you found to help people not want to commit suicide?
You know, I suppose if you were to get together with a group of kids, you would approach it a lot like I've just discussed. Think of it in terms of alternatives. You know, other ways to deal with things in your life. You know, if there's a conflict on something, and bullying is another thing. That's why the teachers and the administrators and people, you know, are so concerned about bullying. I can't remember ever really being bullied as such. It's easy to you might misinterpret something as bullying, but again, you have to deal with it if that's what's going on in your life. You know, I would think that if somebody is harping on you all the time, that could be a problem. If somebody is literally bullying you, and it happens on a kind of a continuous basis, then maybe that's the time you need to seek some help or talk to somebody or do something else. If it's a continuous thing, if it's a one-time or a couple of time kinds of things, then possibly you can just get away from it on your own and
This interview with Bruce has shown that there are always solutions to every problem. His life has been an example of finding happiness even when all the cards were stacked against him. He still goes skiing every winter. It's important to remember that there's always someone out there that cares and something else that you can put your mind to.